You're listening to Popstar Conversations, taking you inside with your favorite musical artists.
Chuck and I are sitting here with KESHA. KESHA, welcome to the show.
It's good to have you here.
This album, Warrior, wasn't it supposed to be your big rock album?
Well, see, the thing is, I had like a hard time with this record at the beginning because I didn't really know exactly sonically where to go. I did a lot of much rockier things at the beginning when I was kind of experimenting. I did maybe 30 tracks for this record. And then I had like a conversation with Dr. Luke, who's my label, and we realized that we could bring in the attitude of rock and roll, and we could bring in features that are very rock and roll, and the sentiment and attitude could be very rock and roll. But if I want to live on pop radio, that Four on the Floor is not going anywhere anytime soon. So I tried to, as much as I possibly could, marry the two.
So they were concerned about the direction you were taking.
I'm not scared. But I think you also haven't heard the whole record. Like, there's a lot more than you've heard, and a lot of those songs, like the song I did with Iggy Pop, is just me screaming about sex with Iggy Pop. And there are other songs on there, like a song I did with the Flaming Lips and Ben Folds, that it's very, like, it's like rock, but also it's like intergalactic rock. Like, it's very weird and spacey and very trippy. So I think that you kind of have to hear the whole record as a whole before you can fully make that statement. There is a lot of dance too, but I kind of wanted to, my goal in starting the record was to mush the kind of music I listen to and the kind of music I make. And so I feel like I did a little bit. Like, you heard Supernatural. I think that song is about having sex with a ghost and also like a toxic relationship. It could be a metaphor, but I mean, quite literally, it's about getting on with a ghost. And you know, and I really, like, for months was like, more guitars, give me feedback. And so it was definitely a process of trying to marry the two genres.
Are you on a path of self-discovery, personally and professionally?
You know, I'm just experimenting. I don't really know what the fuck I'm doing in life. So I'm just trying to play with what's gonna work, and what I really wanted to do is make a record that was more me, because I feel like a lot of people got one perspective, and like there was one kind of perception of me out there, and I wanted to expand that and elaborate a little more. And I feel like this record, I'm happy with it because my fans are really going to get to know me better as a person and as an artist.
I noticed that they didn't use Autotune on your vocals.
Right. I mean, there are like things where we've chopped up words. Like, there's a little bit of things where you're going to hear like a little bit of vocal.
Was that your decision to show the versatility in your voice?
I mean, one thing that I did, one of the repercussions of playing with vocal effects on my first record is now I've heard some people don't know, or they're not sure, they don't think I can sing, which always was really irritating to me because I grew up and one of the only things I actually can do in my entire life is sing. So this record, it's not so much that I wanted to prove it to the world, but, you know, it's more my fans. They should know that I really can sing because they've been so amazing and they've been so diehard, and you know, I think they know, but this record does kind of show my voice off more. I'm happy with it.
And I noticed that your lyrics are continuing to celebrate life.
Sometimes, totally. I mean, this record, okay, so the concept of this record was I wanted to write an album about the magic of life. And that includes partying, and that includes the supernatural, which I fully believe in. And then it includes, I also went on kind of a spiritual quest, a spirit journey, where I just went around the world with me in a backpack and no security and no managers, like literally to South Africa in the middle of nowhere in the South Pacific, and was spending a lot of times helping to rehabilitate animals and spending a lot of time by myself and camping in the middle of Africa, like just with one guy to make sure I didn't get eaten by lions. So after all of that, I came back, and then I went into a past life regression where you get hypnotized and you go into your past lives. I wrote a song about that. And I just feel like the topics on this record are, like I told you, kind of more about the magic of life, like as a whole, how magical life is.
I was told that you were listening a lot to Iggy and the Stooges, Mark Bolan.
I came back home and I went record shopping here in Nashville. There's a place called Grimey's and they have great vinyl. And I just kind of found the Slider, the T-Rex album. That record, I don't know what it did to me, but I just like fell completely in love with Mark Bolan. And then in one of my songs, I don't know if you heard Wherever You Are, but I quote about Electric Warrior Love, the sun was coming up, red wine and whiskey on your tongue. Like about how I kind of fell in love listening to Electric Warrior in my bedroom. Because in my bedroom, all I have is a giant bed. I had a custom bed made that takes up the entire bedroom and a record player. And that's it. So that was a little bit of a tangent. And Iggy and the Stooges, well, on this record I got to work with Iggy, which was like one of the highlights of my life.
So where do you see yourself these days? Do you see yourself part of the pop world or the rock world?
Well, I think that I have one foot in each because, on my spare time, when I'm laying in bed and like want to feel inspired, I put on, a Mark Bolan or an Iggy record or a Stones record. But then when I'm driving around and like an old Madonna song comes on, like I love that too. Like I love pop music and I love rock and roll. And I think that, rock radio isn't quite as like, there's not as much rock radio as there used to be, I feel like, in the United States, maybe. I don't know if that's true in the rest of the world. Yeah, like there's just not a lot of classic rock stations. You really have to search for it. And I love living on pop radio. Like I love making pop videos and I love reaching millions and millions of people around the world. Like I love that part of it. But I think that I can incorporate what I love about rock and roll to some extent as well. Like hopefully there are some of my fans that maybe before my record comes out maybe aren't as well versed in Iggy Pop, and maybe once they hear him on my record they're gonna go and listen to his records and realize that he's a god. And if there's just one person in the world that I can do that for, that introduce them to Iggy Pop, some 5-year-old fan, then I think that's kind of what I was hoping to achieve.
Didn't you and Wayne from the Flaming Lips collaborate on a lot of new material?
Oh, we did like a bunch of songs. We ended up using one for them that we wrote with my mom, actually. And then one that I actually wrote by myself, but the Flaming Lips produced it with Ben Folds. And that one's going on my record, and that one's called Past Lives.
So your mother was very influential in your career.
Well, she's been a songwriter. Like, she actually was the one who introduced me to music. So I just like writing with her because we have a lot of fun. Like, we hang out at my house and, like, I don't know, I live in the woods and I have a piano that Ben Folds actually lent me. He has a glitter piano. He's like, you can just borrow it. So I have a glitter piano, which is totally fitting. And we lay around on my couches that are, like, covered with, like, stuffed animal lions because I'm obsessed with lions. And we, like, write silly pop songs. It's fun.
With all of your success, did that bring you an amount of responsibility?
I mean, I think that's kind of like that's the energy I'm channeling right now. I feel like before I was like some wild child running around LA with no money and no car, and I didn't have anything and I didn't have anything to lose. And I think now my life has changed drastically. I'm still a wild child, but I have a lot of people looking at things I do and listening to what I say. So I'm trying to channel all that hyper energy into being a powerful and positive human being, I guess.
So how do you like living in Nashville?
Yeah, totally. I like living here a lot. It's just kind of where my roots are at. It's where my soul's at. I feel like this town has a lot of soul. I like to say it's the soul of the United States. Like, there's like LA's, I don't know what it is, but like people would say like New York would be, I don't really know exactly what New York would be either.
Do you think that the public's perception of you has changed?
No, I don't think so. I think people still don't really know exactly what to do with me. But again, I don't think that has anything to do with religion or anything. I just think I think sometimes I just am who I am, and unapologetically so, and kind of what you see is what you get, and I put it out on the table. And sometimes it just might take a little getting used to.
Your first release off of this album, Die Young, why do you refer to it as old hippie rock?
Well, that one started with like the acoustic guitars, and we wanted to sound kind of like something you'd sit around campfire and sing with all your friends when you're like go camping and you're all fucked up in the woods, and then like kind of like go into like a super dance track. But then it kind of circles back to the sing-along with claps. And then in the bridge, we got my manager and Luke's 1-year-old baby and like everybody we could find and like my cousin. And we all go in the garage and we're all just singing and screaming. And we did like a big sing-along. So that's how we recorded that. Like, and we did that one on the beach. So like we kind of wanted it to have the essence of a... like a hippie, a bunch of hippies getting crazy in the woods, and then like go into like super dance land.
Has fame and fortune corrupted you?
Getting corrupted? I think I was already corrupted. I think people are more concerned with me corrupting their children than me getting corrupted. I think like I surround myself with really real and very honest people, so hopefully I never completely go full douche on everybody, but if I did, I have plenty of people that would also smack me back into reality.
KESHA, again, thank you for coming on the show.
Thanks so much.
Thank you again for listening to Popstar Conversations. Be sure to click the subscribe button below and hit the red bell so that you'll be notified of our next exclusive interview.
Thank you for listening to Popstar Conversations. Please join us again for another conversation with your favorite musical artist.